Looking for a memorable gift for your Valentine? Or a sweet present for your loved ones? Show them your gigantic affection with the Crochet Chunky Rose. Here's a beginner-friendly tutorial that's easy to follow and perfect for your gifting needs. Hello everyone! For today's crochet tutorial, I'll teach you how to crochet a chunky rose perfect for any occasion. May it be a birthday, for Valentine's, Mother's Day, or just an ordinary day. To make this, you'll need the following materials. Thick, chunky chenille fancy blanket towel yarn in the color autumn green. We'll use this for the stem, leaves, and sepal of the rose. And the same yarn but in the color cotton candy. We'll use this for the rose itself. I got mine from Dynamix for 59 pesos each ball of yarn that weighs 100 grams. For this project, I used 2 green chunky yarns and 2 pink chunky yarns, so 200 grams each color. Basically, you can use any color of yarn that you want, but I'll be using green and pink. You can also use any kind of chunky yarn that you have, but just make sure that you'll use the appropriate hook for your yarn. For the thick chunky chenille yarn, I'm using an 8mm hook. I'm also using a 5.5mm hook, which I use as a darning needle in hiding the excess yarns. We'll also use stitch markers. And of course, glue stick and glue gun to assemble the rose and attach the sepal later. Last but not least, the fiber filling that we'll use to stuff our stem. And now, let's crochet all the way! But before anything else, remember these crochet terms and abbreviations that you might need later on, or if you want to understand the written pattern. We'll begin by crocheting our rose petals. We'll start with a slip knot. We do this by wrapping the yarn around our finger and pulling the yarn through that hole. Insert your hook, then we'll chain 50. To make a chain, wrap your yarn around the hook, then pull it through the loop. Put a chain marker on your first chain. Then continue until you reach 50 chains. On the 4th chain from your hook, create a double crochet. To make a double crochet, wrap your yarn around the hook, then insert your hook into the chain. Wrap the yarn around your hook again, then pull through the loop. Wrap the yarn around your hook, then pull through 2 loops. Wrap the yarn again, then pull through the remaining 2 loops. Now put the chain marker on the chain before your double crochet. Now for row 1, we create a double crochet on each chain, having the total of 48 double crochets, including the 3 chains that we skipped as a stitch. On the last chain, remove the chain marker, then create a double crochet. Chain 3 and then flip your work. For row 2, we'll create an increase on each stitch. So we'll create a double crochet into the same loop with chain 3. Put a chain marker on the chain before your double crochet. Now create 2 double crochets on each stitch. We'll have a total of 96 double crochets in the end. On the last chain, remove the chain marker, then create 2 double crochets. chain 3 and then flip your work. For row 3, we start by creating a double crochet into the same loop with chain 3. Put a chain marker on the chain before your double crochet. Now we'll create a double crochet on each stitch. In the end of row 3, we'll have a total of 96 double crochets without including your chain 3. You can also do this to yarns with different colors. Oh, and since I'm nearing the end of my first ball of yarn, I'll also show you how to connect two yarns to continue your project. First, we line them both together. Then create a knot with your first yarn while wrapping it to the second yarn. Then we fasten them off by pulling hard. Well, not too hard since it might cut off the yarn. Then we'll do the same on the other end. Afterwards, pull both yarns so that both knots will meet. Now, we fasten them off by pulling hard again. Then we'll cut the excess. And there you have it! Both yarns are now connected. Going back to the tutorial, once you've reached the last stitch, remove your stitch marker and make a double crochet on that loop. Chain 2, then turn. Now we'll start making petals, beginning with the small petals. Create a double crochet on the same loop with the chain 2. Now, create 2 treble crochets. We make a treble crochet by wrapping the yarn around the hook twice. Then insert your hook in the stitch. Yarn over, then pull through the loop. Now yarn over again, then pull through 2 loops. Yarn over again and pull through 2 loops. And finally, yarn over, then pull through 2 loops. It's like a double crochet, but instead of double, we do triple. Then we create another treble crochet on the next stitch. Then we'll create a double crochet on the next stitch. Now chain 2, then slip stitch on the same stitch with the double crochet. We do a slip stitch by insert your hook in the stitch, then yarn over and pull through both loops. And that marks our first small petal. We need to have 2 small petals, so we'll create another one. We start by making a slip stitch on the next stitch. Then chain 2. Then a double crochet on the same stitch with the chain 2. Then 2 treble crochets. Then a double crochet again. Chain 2. Then slip stitch on the same stitch with a double crochet. And there you have it! We now have 2 small petals. Now we'll move on to the medium petals. We start with a slip stitch on the next stitch. Then chain 2. Create a double crochet on the same stitch with the chain 2. Now create 2 treble crochets. Then chain 1. Now we will slip stitch on the top of the treble crochet. You'll see this inverted V shape and we'll create a slip stitch there. Then create one more treble crochet. As you can see, we now have a total of 3 treble crochets. Now, a double crochet. Then, chain 2. And slip stitch on the same stitch with a double crochet. And now we have 1 medium petal. We need to have a total of 3 medium petals, so we'll create 2 more. We start with a slip stitch on the next stitch, then chain 2. Create a double crochet in the same stitch with the chain 2. Now create 2 treble crochets. Then chain 1. Now we will slip stitch on the top of the treble crochet. Then create 1 more treble crochet. Now a double crochet. Then chain 2 and slip stitch on the same stitch with a double crochet. Now we have 2 medium petals. Create another one, then we'll move on to the large petals. Now that you have 3 medium petals, we'll create the large petals next. There's not much of a difference, only that we have 3 treble crochets in the medium petal and 5 treble crochets for the large petal. We start with a slip stitch on the next stitch, then chain 2. Create a double crochet on the same stitch with the chain 2. Now create 3 treble crochets. Then chain 1. Now we will slip stitch on the top of the treble crochet. Then create 2 more treble crochets. Now, we have 5 treble crochets. Now, a double crochet. Then, chain 2. And slip stitch on the same stitch with a double crochet. And now we have a large petal. We need to have a total of 4 large petals, so we'll create 3 more. We start with a slip stitch on the next stitch, then chain 2. Create a double crochet on the same stitch with the chain 2. Now create 3 treble crochets. Then chain 1. Now we will slip stitch on the top of the treble crochet. Then create 2 more treble crochets. Now a double crochet, then chain 2 and slip stitch on the same stitch with a double crochet. Now that you have 4 large petals, we move on to the extra large petals. The extra large petals have 7 treble crochets. We start with a slip stitch on the next stitch. Then chain 2. Create a double crochet on the same stitch with the chain 2. Now create 4 treble crochets. Then chain 1. Now, we will slip stitch on the top of the treble crochet. Then create 3 more treble crochets. Now we have 7 treble crochets. Now create a double crochet. And then chain 2. And slip stitch on the same stitch with a double crochet. And now we have an extra large petal. We need to have a total of 5 extra large petals, so we'll create 4 more. We start with a slip stitch on the next stitch. Then chain 2. Create a double crochet on the same stitch with the chain 2. Now create 4 treble crochets. Then chain 1. Now, we will slip stitch on the top of the treble crochet. Then create 3 more treble crochets. Now we have 7 treble crochets. Now create a double crochet. And then chain 2. And slip stitch on the same stitch with a double crochet. Once you reach the last stitch, it should be before the stitch where you put your stitch marker. You must have a total of 5 extra large petals, 4 large petals, 3 medium petals, and 2 small petals. And when you're all set, chain 1, then cut off your yarn. I'll show you how will this be a rose later, but here's the clue how. Now we'll move on in creating the sepal. We start by creating a magic ring. I create a magic ring by forming my yarn like this. Then I insert my hook and pull through the yarn. Then I chain 1. If you have your own way of doing a magic ring, you can go ahead and do that. Then we'll make 12 single crochets into the magic ring. We make a single crochet by inserting the hook into the circle, then yarn over and pull through. Then yarn over, then pull through both loops. Then we put a chain marker on our first single crochet. Then we'll make 11 more single crochets. Insert your hook into the circle, then yarn over and pull through. Then yarn over and pull through both loops. Once you have 12 single crochets, you can go ahead and pull the yarn to close the circle. Then slip stitch in the first single crochet. For the second row, we chain 1, then create a single crochet in the same stitch of the slip stitch. Now put a chain marker in the first single crochet. Then we'll create another single crochet in the same stitch. We'll continue making the increase in all the stitches with a total of 24 single crochets in the end. Afterwards, slip stitch into the first single crochet. Then remove your stitch marker. Now here's the tricky part. We'll now create the leaves of the sepal. We start by chaining 6. Be sure that your chains are not too tight. As you can see, this is the right side of the chains. Now flip it on the other side and you'll see the back loops or small bumps on the other side. We are going to work the stitch into the back loops or the small bumps. We start with a slip stitch on the first back loop. On the next back loop, we create a single crochet. Then we'll create half double crochets on the next 2 stitches. We create a half double crochet by yarning over, insert your hook into the stitch, yarn over again, then pull through the loop. Then we yarn over again and pull through both loops. We do that again on the next stitch. Yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over again, pull through, then yarn over again and pull through both loops. Then create a double crochet in the 2 remaining stitches. It should look like this. Now skip the next 3 stitches from where you made a slip stitch and slip stitch on the 4th stitch. Now we'll keep repeating until the end of the row. We should have 6 sepal leaves in total. Chain 6, then on the back loops, slip stitch, single crochet, 2 half double crochets, and 2 double crochets. Skip 3 chains, then slip stitch on the 4th stitch. Once you finish your last sepal leaf, chain 1, then cut your yarn. And now, you have your sepal. Next up is our stem. We'll start again with the magic ring. Then we'll make 6 single crochets in the magic ring. Don't forget to put a stitch marker on your first single crochet. Pull your yarn to close the circle. For the second row, we'll make an increase, then a single crochet. Create a single crochet in the first single crochet. Put a stitch marker on the first single crochet of the second row. Next, create another single crochet in the same stitch. Now that is our increase. Then we'll create 1 single crochet in the next stitch. Then create 2 single crochets in the next stitch. Afterwards, 1 single crochet in the next stitch. So 2, then 1, then 2 again, then 1. We must have a total of 9 single crochets at the end of this row. For the third row, we will create a single crochet in every stitch. Do not forget to put a stitch marker on your first single crochet to mark where you began. Now, we will continue making single crochets until we reach 22 rows. So, single crochet in every stitch until row 22. Now, we will insert some fiber fillings inside our stem to form its shape. It's up to you on which rows you'll put fiber fillings, but make sure that you put them along the way, since it will be hard to insert fiber fillings once we've reached 22 rows. For row 23, we'll start with a single crochet, then put a stitch marker on the first single crochet. Now we'll make a decrease. We do this by inserting our hook in the stitch, then yarn over and pull through the loop. Now insert your hook to the next stitch, then yarn over and pull through the loop. Now yarn over and pull through both loops. Do this until you reach the end of row 23. Now slip stitch on the first single crochet, then cut your yarn with a little excess. Be sure to insert your fiber filling for the last time. Now we'll weave the yarn into each stitch until the first stitch. Once we reach the first stitch, pull your yarn, then hide it by weaving it to the other stitches. Then cut the excess. Finally, we have our stem. Last but not least, the leaves of our stem. We'll start by creating double foundation chains. We do this by measuring our starting yarn by 15 inches, which we'll name Vince, so that we won't be confused. Then create a slip knot after Vince. Insert your hook in the slip knot, then create a double foundation chain by wrapping the hook with a 15-inch yarn or Vince, then pull through your original yarn. So there you have one double foundation chain. Then we'll put a stitch marker each on the right and left part of the chain. So one here, then another one here. Now we need to have 13 double foundation chains, so we'll make 12 more. Wrap your hook with Vince, then pull through your original yarn. Wrap your hook, pull through your original yarn. Once you reach 13 double foundation chains, put a stitch marker on the right side of your double foundation chain. So we'll first work on the left side of the leaf, then later will be the right side. So on the first chain in the left side, create 2 single crochets. Don't forget to put a stitch marker on your first single crochet. That's 1 single crochet. We need 2, so make another single crochet on the same loop. Next is a single crochet in the next chain. Then a half double crochet in the next chain. Now create a double crochet in the next 2 chains. Then we'll create treble crochets in the next 4 chains. Afterwards, a double crochet in the next chain, then a half double crochet in the next chain. Single crochet in the next chain. And then slip stitch on the last chain with a stitch marker. And we're done with one side of the leaf. Now, we'll chain 2. Then slip stitch on the first chain on the other side, the one with the stitch marker. Then create a single crochet on the next chain. Then a half double crochet on the next chain. Now a double crochet on the next chain. Now create a treble crochet on the next 4 chains. Afterwards, create a double crochet on the next 2 chains. Then a half double crochet on the next chain. Then a single crochet on the next chain. And our last single crochet in our last chain, the one that has a stitch marker. Now, we'll slip stitch into the first single crochet on the left side, the one with the stitch marker. To end, we'll cut the yarn and pull the excess. And there we have our leaf. Repeat the process 3 times and we should have a total of 4 leaves. Once you finish crocheting your 4 leaves, it's time to combine them and create 2 final leaves. We do this by putting 2 leaves on top of each other, both facing upwards. Then we'll combine them by stitching. Insert your hook in the stitch where you last made a slip stitch on both leaves. One here, then on the other leaf as well. Then, we will pull through our yarn and chain 1. Now what we'll do is we will make a slip stitch on each loop around the leaf, but only on the outer loops or the back loops. So for this leaf, it's here, this one. Then on the other leaf, it's this one. So it's the stitches that are on the outer part. Insert your hook in the outer loop of the first and second leaf. Then slip stitch as loose as possible so that it will have a better shape. Now do this until the last stitch. So here's how it looks like after stitching its half. As you can see, not too tight, not too loose. Okay, so just continue up until the end. So once you reach the end, cut off your yarn. Be sure to put the tails inside by weaving it using your hook or needle. What I do is I pull them through the inside of the leaf and they would no longer be visible. And there you have your finished chunky leaf. Do this on the other two leaves as well, and then we're ready to assemble all its parts. And now we have the rose, the leaves, the sepal, and the stem. Now that we've completed all the parts of our rose, it's time to assemble them to form our chunky rose. We'll start with our rose petals. The small petals should be at the left side of what we crocheted. It should face outside. Now, we'll fold the first small petal into half and use hot glue to stick it together. Only put glue at the bottom of the rose. Be careful since it's hot, and then wait for it to cool down. I'm using a mini fan to cool it faster. Now, fold the second small petal into half as well and put hot glue. Now the 3 medium petals should wrap around your small petals. And for the next petals, you place them in between two petals, like a window formation. Place the petals where the curves end. After wrapping the petals around itself, you can flip the top edge of the rose petals. You can cut your excess yarn or weave them at the bottom of your rose. In attaching the sepal to the rose, just make sure that you place it in the middle of the bottom of the rose. I place a hot glue at the center and stick my sepal. Then, I let it cool down. Then, I put hot glue on the sepal leaves and stick it to the rose. Now we move on in attaching the stem to the sepal. We will stitch around the stem and the sepal to combine them. Just make sure it is placed in the middle. We'll attach the yarn on the second row of your stem. I'll be using a 5.5mm hook as I use it for weaving. Now weave the attached yarn on your stem to the sepal. Cut off your yarn and weave in the excess. It should look like this. Now, we'll make the same process in attaching the leaves to the stem. But first, choose the front side of your rose where you'll put the leaves at the side. Now use your stitch marker to mark where you'll place the leaves. It depends on you, but I place the other leaf lower than the other one. Knot your yarn on the stem. Then weave the leaf to the stem. Do the same with your other leaf, and then you're done! After hours of crocheting, here's our finished product, our crochet chunky rose. This is the perfect gift for a birthday, for Valentine's, Mother's Day, or just an ordinary day. I enjoyed using chunky yarn since it makes the process faster due to its size. I crocheted this within a day, which is perfect for same-day gifts. If you enjoyed this tutorial, be sure to like and subscribe to be updated on future videos. Comment below if you have requests or suggestions in what I should make next. See you in my next tutorial. Bye!